Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. My name is Joris and today I am here with the second part of the series about European ETFs that invest into European companies, and it's the edition of 2025, and in the second part I'm going to discuss the Euro STOXX 50 and one Stoxx Europe 50 ETF. So you know the rules of this series. So European ETFs that invest in Europe, this means that they have to obey to the basic rules. So they need to invest in European companies. They need to be based in Europe, so they are all UCITS ETFs. They also need to distribute a dividend, because I'm a dividend-based YouTube channel, and they are not swap-based replicated types. So at the end, I will have discussed 41 ETFs. So if you know one other ETF or two or even more ETFs that I missed, please comment them down below in the comment section, and I promise you next year when I revisit this series, I will include them for sure in my overviews. And in the previous video, I already gave the MSCI Europe Index ETFs. So those were 5 ETFs. Now I'm also going to discuss the 8 Euro STOXX 50 ETFs and the 1 STOXX Europe 50 ETF. So in total, today in this video, 9 ETFs that I'm going to discuss. And it's going to be 6 more videos after this one. And in those 6 ones, I will discuss all the other ETFs that track other indexes. And I try to group them as good as possible. So I hope you stick with me, and let's continue with this video. So what's in the name? You have the Euro STOXX 50 and the Stoxx Europe 50. And the Euro STOXX 50 is an index that invests towards the 50 largest and most liquid companies in the Eurozone. So that's important. The Euro stands for Eurozone. And then you have the Stoxx Europe 50, and this means that this index invests towards the 50 largest and most liquid companies in the European continent, regardless of the currency that they are traded in. So both have their advantages and disadvantages, and most of them you can buy in euro, some however you can buy in other currencies, and most of them also pay the dividends in euro. So the performances I will give in euro, and also the dividends being paid out I will give in euro as well. But the price you will always see on the slide itself, whether or not it's in Swiss francs, in euro, or in dollars. And so I'm discussing 9 ETFs, and there are in fact 2 extra ones, but that's just because 2 of those 9 you can buy in different currency values, so on the SIX stock exchange. And you can all buy them on the SIX stock exchange, these 9 ETFs, and in the rest of Europe you can buy those as well. So they are not solely traded on the SIX stock exchange. Sometimes when you see the XESX stock exchange or the London stock exchange, it can be that those ETFs are only traded on the German stock exchanges or on the UK stock exchange. So just so you know. So the Euro STOXX 50, the top 10 companies are made up of SAP, ASML, Siemens, Allianz, Schneider Electric, LVMH, Deutsche Telekom, so Total Energies, Sanofi, and Banco Santander. And that's a newcomer, Banco Santander. It wasn't on the list when I made the previous video about Euro STOXX 50 or the Stoxx Europe 50 ETFs. And when you look at the countries, yeah, France is hugely represented in this graph with in these ETFs. So there is 34.36% invested of this index towards France, French companies. Then the German companies make up 28.71%, The Dutch companies make up 16.43%, the Spain companies 8.78%, and Italy 7.90%. So you see it's Eurozone, so no Switzerland companies or other companies that you can spot here. So no UK, no Swiss companies. The industries 23.05 financials, 18.16 industrials, 17.33 information technology. Consumer discretionary and consumer staples together make up about 22-23%. So in fact, yeah, you have the normal things that you expect when you want a bit of dividend as well. And then the Stoxx Europe 50. So more or less the same list, but here you can also see Nestlé, Roche, Novartis, Novo Nordisk as well, and AstraZeneca, HSBC, so UK, Novo Nordisk, which country is it? I think it's Norway. Then you have Switzerland here, and Shell. Yeah, it's the UK as well, but you can also buy it in the Netherlands, and then German company Siemens. And there you have it. 24.19% is invested towards the UK. 21.02 is invested towards France. Switzerland makes up 17.85%, Germany 15.09%, and the Netherlands 8.64%. So I tend to prefer the Europe 50 index. You have only one ETF that invests towards this index, so that's a bit of a pity. But yeah, if I were to invest into such an ETF, I would definitely choose the ETF that I'm going to discuss the first in this video. The industries here, financials make up the biggest part with 20.39%. Then you have industrials, then healthcare, consumer staples, and finally information technology, which makes up just under 10% of this index. So you only have one ETF of the Stoxx Europe 50 UCITS ETF, and that's the iShares, the EUNE ETF, or the two other tickers are EUNA and EUN1. Total expense ratio actually quite expensive. I wish they would lower it, but it's iShares. They are actually sometimes quite expensive. So I hope they see this video and they lower their total expense ratio. You saw Amundi do it and UBS do it before, so I hope that they will do it as well. You can always see the easing code here, and then on the SIX stock exchange you can buy one share of the Stoxx Europe 50 ETF from iShares for 43.49 Swiss francs. So end of the trading day of the 11th of July. That was on the second slide of this presentation, in case you missed it. And the currency of the dividend being paid out is euro. There are 51 holdings into this ETF, and there is 714 million invested towards this ETF. It's a fully replicated type, and it's been around since the 3rd of April of 2000. So a very old ETF, and I think it's a really good one. I don't understand why there is only so few money invested into it. Probably because the total expense ratio is quite expensive. So iShares should definitely revisit this total expense ratio. Also, the past year performance is not that great, only up 2.38%. The past 3 years is better, almost 40%, and the past 5 years almost 70%. It pays out quarterly dividends like most ETFs from iShares do, and it's in February, May, August, and November. The dividend yield is 2.47%, and here you can see the dividend distributions over the past year. Then we can go to the next one, and that's also an iShares ETF, but the core Euro STOXX 50, so not completely the Euro STOXX 50 ETF index, but the core Euro STOXX 50. The total expense ratio there is 0.10% for the EUNE ETF, and that's way better. So yeah, they should definitely alter the total expense ratio of the first one. You can buy one share for 51.83 Swiss francs, and the dividend is also being paid out in euro. I'm not going to repeat that for the next 7 ETFs. There are 51 holdings into this ETF, and 4.6 billion is invested towards this ETF. Fully replicated type. It has the same inception date as the first ETF, so also very old ETF. And this one, the past year, performed way better than the first one, 11.25%. For the past 3 years, it is up 69.22%, and in the past 5 years, it is up 88.06%. I will warn you, the next ETFs will all be more or less the same values. So I didn't order them now according to their 5-year performances. Normally I do that, and I've done that for the first video, and I will do that as well for the next videos. But for this video, I didn't do it because yeah, it's so close. It's really close for all of them. And then the final one, you will see that one is sticking out by a lot, but that's also because it's following a slightly different index. So you have 4 dividends per year, so quarterly payments, the same months as the previous ETF, and the dividend yield is 2.45%. And here you can see the dividend payments that it made in the past year. Then you have DJSXE from iShares. Again, core Euro STOXX 50, but the core is here between parentheses because this one is more closely following the Euro STOXX 50 index. The total expense ratio is 0.09%, so iShares do reduces the total expense ratio of their ETFs. So it used to be 0.10%, but they reduced it in the past half year. It's a German-based ETF, and you can buy one share on the SIX for 54.82 euros. There are 50 holdings into this ETF, and there is 8.1 billion invested towards this ETF, and it's a fully replicated type. And here you can see, yeah, it's more or less the same performance of this ETF compared to the previous one, so I'm not going to repeat that. Also, the inception date is close to the previous ones, a little bit, started a little bit later, around 8 months later, but also really old ETF. And you have quarterly payments. This one is in the most common months to be seen for quarterly payments, and the dividend yield is 2.30%. And here you can see the dividend payments that it made in the past 12 months. Then you have the E50 EUA ETF from UBS, and that's a true Euro STOXX 50 index. The total expense ratio there is 0.09%, and I guess that's why iShares came down with their total expense ratio of their previous ETF, because they saw that all the other ETFs are almost all using a total expense ratio of 0.09%. This one is a Luxembourg-based ETF, and you can buy one share for 55.19 euros or 51.47 Swiss francs. So this is one of those ETFs that you can buy for 2 currencies on the SIX stock exchange. There are 50 holdings into this ETF, and there is 590 million invested towards this ETF, fully replicated type, and once again really close performances compared to the previous 2 ETFs. And also really old ETF, been around since the end of 2001. As it is UBS, they only pay half yearly dividends in February and in August, and the dividend yield is 2.63%. And here you can see the dividend payments, and as usual, August is way higher than February, with the usual suspect, the fact that European companies tend to pay out only an annual dividend in March, April, or May. And then you have the Xtrackers Euro STOXX 50 ETF, the XESX, with a total expense ratio of 0.09%, also Luxembourg-based one. You can buy one share for 52.82 Swiss francs on the SIX stock exchange. There are 50 holdings into this ETF, and 5 billion is invested towards this fully replicated ETF. Once again, really close performances of all these Euro STOXX 50 ETFs, and this one has been around since the 4th of January of 2007. Quarterly payments by this one, and it's in February, May, August, and November once again, and the dividend yield is 2.72%. And here you can see the dividend payments once again in August, way higher than in the other quarters. Then we can go to the ETF from HSBC. This one is one of the lowest total expense ratios that you will see in this series, in this video series. So total expense ratio of 0.05 is actually the lowest one that you have for European ETFs investing towards Europe. So HSBC is really really treating us as investors here. And is it actually paying off in the performance? You can see it here. It has in fact the highest performance of all the ETFs that I'm presenting today that follow the Euro STOXX 50 index. So the total expense ratio, when it's lower, you do see an effect on the long-term performance. And you can buy one share for 57.67 euros or 67.3 US dollars. So this is the second ETF that you can buy in two currencies on the SIX stock exchange. There is 1.2 billion invested towards this ETF, fully replicated type, and looking at the total expense ratio, that is the cheapest one, I believe that this number should go up compared to all the other ones, but people are creatures of habit. So once they start investing into an ETF, so one that started in 2000, and there you have a total expense ratio of 0.10, or if you have the Europe 51 with a total expense ratio of 0. What is it? I need to check my papers because I forgot it already. With 0.35, I wanted to say 0.30, but I knew it wasn't correct. So it's 0.35% for the Europe 50 index. Yeah, they just keep investing towards that one instead of looking at it and saying, okay, I'm going to stop investing towards that one, not selling my shares. I'm going to keep them, but from now on, I'm going to invest into the HSBC ETF. Just so that all the other providers see that having a lower total expense ratio brings you the money. And in this way, they see it and they will adjust their total expense ratios as well. So HSBC, just like UBS, likes to pay half-yearly dividends, also in February and August, and the dividend yield is 2.67%, just like the UBS ETF. And here you can see also the same effect. In August, the dividend payment is way higher than the one in February. Then we can go to the Amundi Euro STOXX 50 ETF, the CD5E, with a total expense ratio of 0.09%. You can buy one share for 86.81 euros, and there are 56 holdings into this one. I don't know what is going on with the Amundi fund here, but I think it's really strange that they have 56 holdings into their index fund here, because that's not the plan at all. You have an index with 50 shares, not 56, so I wonder what they are doing here. There is almost 800 million euros invested towards this ETF, and it's a fully replicated type as well. And once again, comparable performance compared to all the rest. It only pays out one dividend per year, and that's one in the month December, and it has a dividend yield of 2.51%. And the past year, at the end of halfway December, they paid out 2.18 euros per share. Then you have the ETBB from BNP Paribas, the only one that has only one ticker symbol in the whole of Europe. So you have to congratulate BNP Paribas for achieving that. It doesn't happen that often in Europe that you only have one ticker symbol for one ETF. The total expense ratio is 0.15% for this French-based ETF. There is 13.33 euros for one share that you need to pay on the STXX stock exchange. And there are 50 holdings into this one, so normal amount. And there is only 173 million invested into this fully replicated ETF. Once again, comparable performances of this ETF been around since the 27th of July of 2015, and only one dividend per year, and it's either paid out in May or in June to to see when their X date is and then when their payout is coming, and the dividend yield is 3.01%. So this year it was in the beginning of May, and they paid out 0.40 euros per share. And then you have the final one for this video. You have the E5 ESG ETF from UBS, and that one is ESG based. So it will return in the last video of this series, and it has a total expense ratio of 0.10%. It's Luxembourg based, and you can buy one share for 19.60 euros on the STXX stock exchange. There are 50 holdings into this ETF, and you have 2 billion invested towards this ETF. And here you can see these performances are way better than all the other ETFs that I've mentioned today in this video. So you have 12.47% for the past year. For the past 3 years, it is up 77.60%. And for the past 5 years, it is up almost 101%. It's a fairly recent ETF, so we are really close to its inception date with the 5 year. So that one is 101.32% up, and it pays out 2 dividends per year. It's UBS, of course, so February, August, and the dividend is 2.50%. And once again, yeah, August is way higher. In the previous year, they didn't pay out the dividend in February. Then there was only one dividend in August. But normally they always pay out a small dividend in February as well. And this was the case this year once again. And if you look at the overview table for the European ETFs that I discussed today, well, you have EUNE, so the Stoxx Europe 50 ETF, which has a dividend yield of 2.47%, so comparable to all the rest, but the 1 year performance is really lagging behind, the 3 year performance also, and the 5 year performance also. So although I like this index more than the Euro STOXX 50, and I would invest towards the Stoxx Europe 50, I have to admit that the Euro STOXX 50 is really outperforming the Stoxx Europe 50 for the past 5 years. And then a special mention goes to E5 ESG. So everybody says this ESG investing is really stupid, that doesn't bring a lot, but here you can see the difference, and that ESG investing can have a positive influence on your performance, because in the past year it really outperformed. The past 2 years it definitely outperformed, and in the past 5 years it truly definitely outperformed the the normal Euro STOXX 50 ETFs, and only also a total expense ratio of 0.10%. Okay, 2 dividends per year. Sometimes when you have such a higher performance, it's worth looking into. If you like this index, go and check it out on Just ETF. There you can see the top 10 companies, you can see the countries and the industry distribution for this ETF compared to the normal Euro STOXX 50 indexes. And if you like it, it's definitely worth a look at. But it's not financial advice, it's just a sum up of all the ETFs that I found that invest towards the Europe 50 or the Euro STOXX 50 indexes. And with that being said, I thank you for watching to this one. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel if you like this kind of content. If you hit that like button, that helps out the channel enormously as well. It helps distribute this video to other people that like this kind of content. And with that being said, thank you for watching to this one, and see you on the next one on my YouTube channel. Bye!